The red pill ideology feeds the incel phenomenon and normalizes modern misogyny. The rise of the involuntary celibate incel man and the proliferation of the red pill ideology represents a disturbing and interconnected phenomenon in the digital age. While often discussed separately, they are two facets of the same misogynistic worldview, one born from a deep sense of alienation, and the other offering a toxic framework to explain it. Together, they form a self reinforcing online ecosystem that radicalizes lonely men, pathologizes women, and promotes a dangerous brand of modern misogyny that has escalated from online rhetoric to real world violence. At its core, the incel community is a subculture of men who define themselves by their inability to form romantic or sexual relationships with women. What begins as a genuine human experience, loneliness, and a desire for connection, is twisted into a shared identity of resentment and victimhood. Within insulated online forums, the pain is not met with empathy, but is instead validated and weaponized. Members construct a elaborate pseudoscientific belief system to explain their situation. Key tenets include biological determinism, the belief in a rigid biological hierarchy of male attractiveness, often reduced to looks maxing, and concepts like Chads, genetically superior alpha males, and Stacys, their female counterparts. Female hyperagency. The idea that women are a monolithic, calculating group who universally seek out only the most genetically gifted men, consciously excluding the vast majority of beta males. A sense of entitlement. Underlying the self pity is a profound entitlement to female attention, love, and sex. The denial of this is perceived not as a personal or social challenge to overcome, but as a grave injustice perpetrated by women and society. This worldview transforms loneliness from a private struggle into a political grievance, creating a powder keg of rage, looking for a target. Enter the red pill ideology. Borrowed from the film The Matrix, taking the red pill means awakening to a supposed harsh truth about the nature of male female dynamics. While its origins are in the pickup artists community, it has evolved into a broader manosphere philosophy that dovetails perfectly with incel beliefs. The red pill provides the strategic and philosophical justification for misogyny. Its core teachings posit that society is gynocentric. They believe Western society is rigged by a feminist agenda to favor women and disempower men, particularly in divorce courts, false accusation policies, and media representation. Women are irrational and childlike. Red pill rhetoric often strips women of autonomy and rationally framing them as emotional creatures driven solely by hypergamy, a desire to date or marry up in status, and a need for security from alpha males. Men must reclaim power. The solution offered is not self improvement for its own sake, but a calculated performance of alpha masculinity, often called game or dread game, designed to manipulate and control women. The red pill offers incels not solace, but a warped sense of agency. It tells the incel that his failure is not his fault. It is the fault of a corrupt system and the inherent nature of women. However, it also tells him that he can win by adopting a set of manipulative, cynical, and often abusive strategies. This creates a feedback loop. The red pill validates the incel's resentment, and the incel community provides a ready made army of disaffected men for red pill gurus to radicalize and monetize. The danger of this synergy extends far beyond toxic online forums. This ideology has demonstrably real world consequences. The language used referring to women as femoids or foids and to sex as a resource dehumanizes women, making violence against them seem justifiable. Several mass murderers, including Elliot Rodger in Isla Vista, California, and Alec Manassian in Toronto, Canada, have explicitly identified with the incel ideology and cited their rage at women as motivation for their attacks. Their manifestos read like greatest hits compilations of incel and red pill rhetoric, showcasing a direct line from online radicalization to offline terror. Furthermore, This ideology normalizes a more insidious everyday misogyny. It seeps into mainstream culture through popular influencers and podcasts, repackaging hatred as self-help or men's rights. It discourages emotional vulnerability and mutual respect, poisoning the well of healthy relationships for a generation of young men who are taught to see intimacy as a transactional power struggle rather than a source of connection. The incel phenomenon, in conclusion, the incel phenomenon and red pill ideology are not isolated subcultures, but symbiotic components of a growing digital counterculture of misogyny. They feed on male anxiety and alienation in an increasingly complex social world, offering a simplistic, hate-filled explanation for personal struggles. By blending a narrative of victimhood with a call to arms, they create a potent radicalizing force. Addressing this threat requires more than just deplatforming extremists. It requires a cultural effort to offer young men a positive identity built not on dominance and resentment, but on empathy, self-worth, and genuine human connection. The alternative is a continued escalation of a digital war and, as I've already explained, public war, gender war, of conquering and dividing. This is just another way. This war is already spilling blood onto our streets. Thank you for watching.